Well, now cowboys love the ladies. They like beans and sourdough, good horses and hot black coffee, and campfires burning low.
Hey guys, Richard Scouting from Remount Horsemanship. Got this neat little guy in. He's a coming 4-year-old. He's in for starting. I'm not going to tell you how many rides he has. I'm not going to tell you how many times he's been saddled. I think a lot of times, especially with these colt starting competitions, people tend to probably push their horses a little too fast. They try to get on their horses as fast as possible. And I don't think they prepare them enough, and sometimes I sure don't prepare them enough, and I find out pretty quick where my holes in my preparation is. But there's no rush to get on a horse. I've had horses that have come in for training that were started by somebody else, and it's like, geez, you know, they got the first ride on in a couple of days, and then they come here, and I got to spend a month kind of undoing what they have done in the starting process. They put more head noise, more tension in the horse to begin with, instead of getting it all out. I've had horses in for starting that have been with me for, 20 days, 25 days before I put the first ride on. Forking your leg over your horse's back is not starting a horse. That's called putting the first ride on a horse. The starting process is so much more than that. If you've ever been to a green recruit clinic, or if you're planning on going to our colt start in October of this year, you'll find out how much is involved in the starting process. It's not just the first ride. This little guy is doing really good. I'm sure you can't see it from the camera, but he can be pretty tense. And he doesn't necessarily exhibit his tenseness through moving his feet. He's very introverted. A lot of times he sucks his lips in, kind of like if you were to make a fish face, and his jaw gets tight and his nostrils get a little bit flared, a few ripples around his nostrils. So other than the blatant body language, make sure you pay attention to the subtle body languages. I'm not doing a whole lot of fast things with this horse. I'm doing things nice and slow so that he has time to process what I'm doing. If you do things too fast, too soon, too abrupt, too jerky, well, the horse can move his feet how you might want him to, but you don't have the feel, you don't have his mind, you don't have relaxation, you just have his feet. And there's a time, of course, where even if you don't have your horse's mind, you need to get control of their feet. But it's always better to have their mind and their feet at the same time. So I'm just working with this little guy. He gets bothered, I'll roll those hips out like that. Do that. Just get him used to all this stuff. Lots of breaks. I made a post on my Remount Horsemanship Facebook page the other day from this past clinic that we had this weekend. And I was working with a real tight, tense horse, and he's been with me for a while. But I know him, and I know how he thinks, and I know how he learns. So during that clinic, I would teach things, have the students do things, and I demonstrate on my horse. Get him shaped up pretty decent on my guy, and then I'd give him lots of time to sit and think about things while I taught the other students. So I gave him plenty of time to dwell and think about what was going on and kind of gather his emotions. And one of the important things about horsemanship is knowing when to quit doing what you're doing. It's not necessarily knowing, well, it is knowing what to do, but a big part of it is knowing when to quit. When has your horse had enough? Sorry, it's shedding season and I got hair in my mouth. There he goes. So make sure you give your horses ample time to think about the maneuver that you just did with them. There's There's always tomorrow. I think there's a kind of a misconception in the horse industry that, you know, like, oh, he's got 30 days of training on him. Well, 30 days of training is nothing. Let's say you got a horse in and you work with him 2 hours a day for 30 days straight, don't give him any days off. That's 60 hours in that 30-day period. Well, there's 87 something odd hours in 8,700 hours in a year. Well, that's 60 hours in that 30 days is nothing in that horse's lifetime. So a horse that has 30 days training, say 60 hours, they're still just as green as this spring grass that's growing up. You can teach them a lot and they can learn a lot, but they're still very green. Boy. Lots of rubs on your horses. Check his flexion. Good. We'll hold that and kind of drive that hip over like that. So we're just kind of preparing him for life, preparing him for whatever might come down the road. If I mount up and he drifts off, I'll try picking that rein up and slowing him down, and if that doesn't work, then I'll bend him to a stop. Just like if I was riding them. Some of us will bump our horses when we get on, so I'm tapping that butt, making sure everything's good. So it's not a competition on how fast you can get on a horse. I guess if it was a competition, it'd be, you know, how relaxed your horse is, how accepting of things he is. Good boy. Mount a horse the first time as if it was his 1,000th time, and you mount him for the 1,000th time as if it was his first time, which means nothing changes. I don't care if I'm getting on one of my really good older bridle horses. I will still step up, work that offside, and then step on. Just like if I was getting on an older horse, the first thing I do when I get on is I sit. You know, get kind of adjusted here. There we go. Tell them everything's all right. Before I move a horse off, check my flexions. See how light he can bend that head around. Now lightness doesn't always come through, not through lightness. Softness doesn't always come through softness. So I'll start as soft as possible, but I'll become as effective as I need to be to cause my horse to turn loose and soften up for me. I like it when this horse licks and chews. He's rolling that jaw around, loosening up his loin. That's pretty good. Get that flexion and get his neck. Kind of add some bumps over here. There, looking for some lateral flexion as well as some vertical flexion. Not going to tip his head too much. Slide my left leg back, and I'd love for his hips to go to my right. Just kind of wait for his weight. If you've ever taken a clinic with me, you've heard me say wait for his weight. So I'm just kind of waiting on him. Might make it a little bit uncomfortable for him to kind of stand there, but I'm not gonna, there's his weight. I'm not gonna force him to move his hips unless it's an oh-no moment. But I'll just kind of wait for him. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Let him know he's a smart dude and that he can have time to move those hips. Drop my rein, let him drift to a stop. If he were to move off, well then I'd pick my reins up to stop a drift, and I'd bend him around to stop an escape. So here I'm going to ask for a backup, and I will reward either the feet or the vertical flexion. He looked over yonder, so I just bring his attention back to me. His flexion or his feet. And someday I'll be getting both, his flexion and his feet. There's some flexion. I waited for him. I waited for that weight shift. Just kind of holding, trying to be a fence post here. So I go backwards, and then I reward that backwards like that. There's back. He's getting this figured out. There's some flexion. Flexion, oh, there's flexion and foot. Just kind of make that standing still a little bit difficult. There, until he gives me a nice quality back. So I've checked if I could get his hind end a little bit, checked if I could get a little bit of a backup. So I'm kind of checking my steering, I'm checking my brakes, checking my lateral flexion, which is kind of my emergency brake. I'm going to walk him off. Try to keep his nose straight. My reins will be for lateral work, so I'm going to try to keep his nose straight. If I need to, I can ask him to step a front foot out and then let him go. Thanks, big guy. He's trying his heart out. Lead him off to the left. Good. Lots of petting, lots of rubbing. When he starts moving, that's when I'm just kind of a passenger. I got his feet moving. That's the one new thing he learned. So I'm just going to reward those feet moving out. I'm not going to add any direction in right away. There. What I will do is if he's looking outside, then I'll do something with my inside aids, my inside leg, my inside rein, to try to keep his attention with me where I'm going, keep his nose pointed in the direction of travel. If he stops and soles up on me, well, I can bring my legs in, I can lead his front foot out, and the second he flexes forward, he gets a release. I'm not going to wait to release until he's moving forward. I'm going to reward that thought of moving forward. Going to reward the mind for going forward, not wait for the feet. If you wait for the feet, then you've already lost your first chance of a release, which is his mind. So I'll ask him forward and then release. So the second I feel that weight shift, I release. Good. Sometimes if you have a real sticky horse, you can have a flag man, whether he be on a saddle horse or whether he be on foot. Just make sure if he's a friend of yours, he doesn't like seeing you get in a wreck, because they can sure send you in a wreck pretty quick. So now I'm just adding some turns. You know, I'm working on turning that forehand, waiting for his neck, and then his feet will follow. His feet will follow his nose. If you've done your groundwork pretty good, then wherever this horse's nose goes, those feet will go. Pick my reins up and hold. I'm just gonna hold. No big deal. When he quits tossing that head, then I give him a release. He's doing really good today. All right, so now we're gonna work on the trot a little bit. Once he goes in that trot, you let him trot. You asked for it. You let him go. Now he's getting a little bit bothered, so I'm going to bend him. I'm not going to rip his head off. I just bent him a little bit until his life came out of his feet, and then I let him walk on. A lot of times people overreact, and when their horse jumps, then they overreact, and then their overreaction causes their horse to overreact. Good. So ask him for this trot again. I don't care if he gives me one step trot. I just want to trot. He's got the rest of his life and the rest of his time with me to work on moving out and sustaining the gait. Good. Good. Got a little bit bothered, so I just bend him and let him walk. So we don't want to shut down all the time that forward motion. We asked for it, he gave it, so let's not take it completely away from him. A lot of times when people start horses, they take away that forward drive. You know, constant hind end disengagements, constant hind end engagements. And they get them looking pretty good on the ground, and then they get under saddle and they ask their horses to move out, and the horse is like, wait a minute. The whole time we were doing groundwork, we were working on me not moving my feet. And now you want me to move my feet? Ask for that trot. Good. Good. Rub him. Loose reins. My reins can be short and they can be loose. And I'm trying to stay on this side of the round pin because I know the other side cut off. So I'm just kind of putting him in a circle here, seeing if he can trot and follow his nose. Come down to a walk. Good. So now I'm going to wait for his feet to stop. Now I want his feet to come to a stop and be soft in my hand. It's not just the feet stopping that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the feet to stop, for him to get soft. He's not soft. Feet still, and some softness. So we trotted to the left, so now we'll trot to the right. He's seeing the shadows from a different eye. He's seeing things a little bit differently on this side. Good. 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 Now we gotta keep him up in a trot, petting on him a little bit. Try to get him back in that trot. There he goes. There he goes. I like to keep them in the walk long enough so they can kind of blow out. If they've got any emotions pent up, they can blow them out and release them. Up on one rein. Hold him. I'm just going to hold. 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 I'm not pulling, I'm holding. And if that holding doesn't work, then I'll bend him. And then I'll go back to holding. And I want him to start thinking, he'll find a spot here. I want him to start thinking backwards. He shifted his weight back, so I rewarded that. And I'll go from a walk, quit riding in my seat, reward the stop. Put some life in my hands. So there, there. So I got my steps back up. They weren't necessarily the prettiest things in the world, but I got my steps back up. Now we'll walk off. Now pick reins up, see if he learned. Oh, see how it was much better? We'll back up. Back up. See, I'm not worried about vertical flexion and a backup. I'm worried about that. We'll wait. We'll wait for the weight. You wait long enough, you'll get the weight. There. If he throws his nose up in the air and tries to leave me, well, then I'll bend him. So I bend to stop and escape, and I'll hold to stop a drift. He's thinking he wants me to turn my head to the left. No. So I'll bend him. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Don't ask for too many steps to begin with. those 3 or 4 steps back up were pretty nice compared to what he was giving me before. So I'm going to reward him on that, and I'll quit bugging him about it. We ride off. Good. Pick up the trot here. Good. If he wants to trot fast, I might go with him. If he were to break up in the canter, I might go with him. Tried to pick up the canter and kind of forgot about his back hind feet. Good. Don't be holding on to your young horses. Holding on to a horse doesn't really do much. Sit deep in my seat, pick up on one rein, and I'll just wait. So if he keeps throwing that head up, I'll take his head around. Take that head around until he relaxes. And maybe, there. Two good steps. And I'll reward that. And then we'll take up, going to the right here. I know he's doing the right thing. Doing good. If he wants to put his nose down and stretch, well, I will let him stretch. You know, hear a lot. You know, don't let him put his head down. The man's gonna go into a buck. I hope you saw that. He picked up a canter and came back down. I'll see if I can't increase my posts and kind of get a canter. That's it. That was a canter. There's a canter. There. I'm not gonna ask him to sustain it. I'm gonna ask him for it. So I'll just kind of increase my posting life up in my body. Get that canter. To canter half a lap, that's fine. He wants to canter 1 lap, that's fine. Change direction. Now we'll go to the left. Posting with the outside front. Dun, 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 dun. And there's my canter. Loose rein. There's no need to, you're in a round pen. There's no need to have a hold of your horses. That'll make some noise while they're cantering. So now he's kind of hand galloping on me. I'll just pick up on one rein here. Bend him around. Let him walk off. Things get hairy, or running out of control, kinda. Don't massacre him. Just bend him down. Just kind of double him around until you slow him down. Trot. Oh, his trot's much better than before. Good, good, good. Nice for the canter again. Good, good, good boy, eh? That's a way right there. That's a way. I get over here where you can see me. Slowly slide down. Bend him around. Now I'm gonna come hold him till he stops. There you go. He's a rock star. Looking for either backup or vertical flexion. There's a rider down in the arena on the other side of the barn riding. He's kind of checking them out. See if I can Get that hind end and see if it'll give me just a try or step to the left with his front foot. I'm gonna keep holding things together until he shifts his weight and moves that forehand. I don't really care how it looks. I just want that one step, that left front stepped over. That's the one that I want. Take that hind end away. See if I can't talk to a front right. Just kind of hold him. Everywhere he goes, I don't want him to. It's a hole, so I'm gonna hold till he does that. And he does that. Stop. See it from stop, I can rock that weight back and maybe ask that left front to move laterally for me. Just one step. He's trying to figure this out. He's trying. So we're holding. Can't lead. If I get a standstill, then I'll lead him out. There he goes. So maybe the sharp turn to the left was a little too much for him. So I get his feet walking out, and then I can ask him to do that. Left, left, left. So start connecting the reins to the feet. That's going to stop for me. I'll wait. Maybe I can set it up for him to give me a little bit of vertical flexion at a standstill. Just a little bit of a try. At least so he's not rooting on me. So I didn't tell you before how many times this guy's been rode, because it is not a competition, but that was his first ride and that was his second saddling. I'm not the best in the world, but I thought that went pretty well. Don't want to overface him too much. So we're going to end on that note. Hope you guys learned something. Subscribe to us on YouTube, like our Remount Horsemanship page on Facebook. Take your time with these little guys. Just like your children, they're only young once. Treasure those moments. Don't knock the curiosity out of a horse. And if they're looking at baby carriages going down the road, just kind of get their attention back on you. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. Get out and ride and enjoy the weather.